You're listening to Reza Riffs with Keith Reza and Alan Lee, right here on LA Talk Radio.
Excellent. Welcome to the show, guys. I'm Keith Reza. Alan Lee couldn't be here today. There's a big, serious cold going around, and he has this cold where he can't even talk. And, so he's not here because if he was here, he wouldn't be able to talk. And, it would be, pretty awkward because, I couldn't tell if he would be laughing or coughing. But that's not the point. The point is I'm here, and I'm ready to rock and roll. And I have a great guest for you today, man. This is one of my favorite comics. This is David Cross. We're promoting him and his new comedy special, Oh Come On, which is going to be released on May 10th this year, 2019, by Comedy Dynamics Network. The special will be available simultaneously in a 10-city theatrical run on all major platforms such as iTunes and Google Play and Xbox, where you could download it. I'm very excited because I love David Cross, and I just ran, I'm out of breath because I just ran all the way upstairs, and the elevator to the studio was broken, so I got to catch my breath, and I was running a little late, But we have David Cross, and he has a new special coming out May 10th called Oh Come On the Comedy Dynamics Network. It's going to be awesome because David Cross is the funniest guy in the world, and I'm about to call him right now and ask him questions and your Twitter questions. Also, if you like the show, please subscribe, rate, and review on iTunes. Follow us on social media at Reza Riffs, and help the show out. We could use the reviews and all that stuff. I'm gonna take a drink of water. Get ready for a great interview with David Cross.
Hello, can you hear me?
Hey, David. Sorry, it was me. I didn't hit the unmute button.
There you go.
How are you? Thank you so much for doing it. It's good to finally talk to you.
Yeah. And how do you pronounce your name? Is it Reza or Reza?
Reza. Yeah.
Reza. Oh, I didn't. I was 0 for 2. All right. Reza.
Yeah, a lot of people think because it's all I use it as a Hispanic last name, but it's also a Persian last name. So,
oh, okay.
But thank you so much. I know we've been talking on Twitter, and Twitter's awesome, but it also gives me huge anxiety because I know you probably get 1,000 tweets and I don't. You know what I mean? So I was like, oh, how do I contact him? So.
No, well, that's an easy way to do it. I'm never on Facebook or anything like that, so that's probably the best way to do it, I guess. Outside of going, I think you went through the publicist for the special, I think.
I did, yeah. But at the beginning, I went through you, and you said DM me, and I was like, oh, I can't DM you because you don't follow back, and I was like, I don't know how to, social media is just so weird for someone who has Asperger's because it's like,
Yeah, I barely get it myself, but
Well, thank you so much for doing it. I really appreciate it. I opened for Jay Moore a lot, and he told me to ask you about the HBO audition at the Duck Shop in Boston, and that happened in 90 and 91. He said you got 7 minutes of applaud clapping.
Say it again, the HBO...
audition at the Duck Shop in Boston?
The Duck Shop?
Yeah.
Geez, I don't remember. I mean, that would have been right as I was getting ready to leave Boston, but I don't remember that. I also don't know what the Duck Shop is. Duck Shop, what is that?
I think it was a comedy club for
there was Stitches, there was Catch Rising Star, there was Nick's, there was Comedy, Played Against Sam's, Duck Shop. I don't know. But you know what? I'll take him at his word.
Yeah.
Jay Moore did one of the best pranks just really one of the best ever. We were shooting a movie long time ago. This is I don't know. It was a long time ago. It was a movie called Small Soldiers, and Denis Leary was on the film for a couple weeks, and Jay and he had this kind of adversarial, friendly, but button pushing relationship, and one time I can't remember what Denis said that pissed Jay off or whatever. And he wasn't really pissed. He was just fucking around. But he went into Dennis's trailer and took a dump, and then didn't flush it and turned the heat all the way up. And we were shooting in LA, so it was probably we were in the valley, so I'm gonna guess it's fair to guess it was about 95 degrees outside. So he turned up, and then he locked the door, and that's one of the best pranks. Like, that was a Jay Moore special.
And did he blame it on you? Like, did he say David did it?
No.
I was like,
he owned it. He was like, yeah, I did that.
Because with me, he would like blame it on me, and then I would just be like, oh yeah, I did it, and then I'd get the reward for everyone giving me high fives,
Yeah.
But no, he told me that the story was, if I can remember, he said that it was an audition for an HBO thing, and all the comics went up, and then like the crowd was just dead, and you went up and you said, how's everyone doing? Like, we're all friendly, and you got everyone to clap, and you kept singing like 1, 2, 3, and you got them to keep clapping for like a minute, and then you were like, hey, wait, I was almost done, and then you got them to do it again. And he said you did that for 7 minutes.
Yeah, that sounds like something I would do. I don't remember it exactly, but yeah, I mean, when I was early on, I used to really fuck around with the audience quite a bit, and I would do fake characters, and where people didn't know who I was and didn't know what to believe, but that definitely sounds like something I would do. Just keep them going into the point where they're confused, and then they start getting a little angry.
That's also like very brave as a comic too, to keep doing that, you know what I mean? So
yeah, I mean, yes and no. It totally depends on what you want to do, what you're trying to achieve. I was never one of those guys who's like, I've got to kill every night, and you see it with comics a lot, and good comics, and comics that I respect, I'm very friendly with. But anytime people would, if they were kind of experimenting or doing something new, or and it wasn't working, you could see them immediately shift into good proven material, but just so they could get laughs and feel like they got, it's like that material doesn't need work anymore.
Yeah,
you're just doing that so that you can feel better about it. I mean, it's okay to fail, and then well, that bit doesn't work, but give it a chance, give it a shot. But yeah, I used to be way more really kind of fucking with the audience, and it was fun. I miss that, the ability to do that, just because people know you can't pretend you're somebody or a character or anything and have it break down and be something different, because everybody knows who you are at this point.
Yeah, you're doing like major theaters now. Do you ever miss doing just regular comedy clubs, or because I know there's like a different atmosphere to it too?
Well, yeah, I don't stop doing the smaller rooms. I never stop. I mean, if I go out on tour, yeah, I'm doing the bigger theaters because I can sell them, and you want as many people to see you as you can, especially if you're only going to be in wherever, if you're only in
for one night.
Yeah, you're there for one night, and who knows when you'll get back. It's going to be anywhere from 2 to 5 years. So yeah, you do a theater, but when I'm getting all that material ready, and I'm in small rooms, and I'll never not do those. Those are they're intimate, they're fun. That's where you get a lot of work done, and when you go tour and you're doing theaters, your work should be done at that point. Of course, it's okay to fuck around and everything, but your work should be finished.
Yeah.
I don't get these guys who go out on these big tours and theaters and call their tour working on new material tour. Tickets start at $35 and go up to $150. Like, that's insane to me.
Yeah. Kind of seems like you get
So,
cheaped out on the money too.
Say what?
It kind of seems like the audience gets cheaped out on the money, paying $30 a seat.
Well, they know what it is, so I can't say that they, if somebody puts "I'm working on new material" in their title, then you're getting exactly what it's not a bait and switch,
Right.
But I mean, you get so much more work done in those smaller spaces, and I'm lucky enough to live in New York, where there are, I don't know, 55, 60 different, depending on, in a week period, cool little comedy shows to go jump on, at cool venues that are some very, very small, some, medium sized, but that's where I'll never not do those. They're fun.
Your new special that's coming out, Oh Come On, it's coming out 2 years after Making America Great. Is that material that didn't quite make America, and that you're just more polished?
One bit is something that I would do. Actually, no, two bits. Two bits that are in this special were bits that I would do for an encore on the last tour that didn't make it in the special, because by the time I'm taping the special and by the time I get to the end, I mean, I'm doing close to 2 hours a night, and I don't want to be so. It's okay to be self-indulgent like that live, but I think when you're doing your special, you want to keep it to 75 minutes. I think is good, an hour and a half tops. But so I was going to lose stuff, and there were two bits that were funny that I liked, but they just didn't kind of fit in the flow of the other special. So I took them out, and knowing I was going to lose like a good 40 minutes of what I was doing. And I tend to do that every special, because you start off, maybe you've got an hour and 15.
Yeah.
And within 2 weeks, even less time sometimes. Now all of a sudden you got an hour and a half, because you're I tend to write a lot on stage and riff, and you're just finding these things that fit. So two of those bits made it into the show proper. You know what I mean? Like, I knew I was going to do those bits. So, and I have stuff that I was doing on this last tour that is not going to air in the special. And I'll do that for the next tour. I've got that ready to go. And I pulled some things, because I was like, you know what, I did this. This is a good bit, but out of context, it's not that great. And I know I can fit this. I can contextually make this part of a bigger piece and a bigger idea. So I pulled little things here and there that I was like, I can do this better. I can more fully realize this idea. And so those are easy cuts to make, because I still have it's like an hour and I don't know what it is, like an hour and 15, hour and 20 minutes, and it's good. It's tight.
Yeah. Like, there's a lot of comics, like, they have that whole Louis C.K. approach where they want to do a special every single year. And I think like a special should be good before you go on to I'm not saying Louis specials are bad, but you get the material really polished, you know what I mean? So
yeah, but I mean, some of those guys are, really amazing comics, like, and they just are so prolific, like Louis or Jim Gaffigan or, any of those comics who go out and can put something together in, 18 months. That's, but those guys are the highest levels, skilled, funny technicians, and they can do it. I think there are other people that can't. That I think that's what you're talking about. Like, people are like, where you see it and you go, you probably could have taken a half a year and polish that up a little bit.
Yeah. And I think like that's cool about your comedy, because you took 6 years off and then you did one, and now 3 years you're doing another one. So it's really, you get all the kinks out. So I like that. That's my favorite type of comedy. Good specials, Yeah,
good. Well, I hope you like this one. I was quite fond of it. I liked it.
Awesome.
It's just slightly different for me. Not incredibly different, but a little bit.
Yeah. What type of jobs did you have while you were starting to do comedy before you made it? Because I know the bloom really helped, but did you have like struggling jobs too?
Oh, fuck yeah. I mean, I started doing, the very first set I ever did was right before my 18th birthday in Atlanta, where I'm from. And I did open mic nights for, 2 years basically in Atlanta before I moved to Boston. And there were only two clubs back then. There was Punchline and a place called the Comedy Spot. And so I do as many gigs as possible, but obviously you're getting $6, so I worked at Pizza Hut, I worked at Domino's as a delivery guy for a while. I worked at where else did I work? Some fast food chicken restaurant called Mrs. Winters, off of 285, and then I moved to Boston, and I did everything from, while I was doing stand-up, before I kind of quit my day job. I worked at in a warehouse for it was a place called Goods, and they had like trinkets and things. I don't know. It was sort of like a Spencer's Gifts, not really, but anyway, I worked for them, and I worked in a warehouse, and I worked for I worked as a messenger. I was a bike messenger. I was a foot messenger. I worked in in the mailroom of a law firm. I worked all shit jobs, all shitty jobs. And I worked. I did canvassing, I was in downtown Crossing asking people to fill out questionnaires. And God, what else did I do? I did so many little lame things here and there. I babysat for a little while. Just all kinds of stuff, really.
That job's tough because sitting on babies is uncomfortable,
For them, I loved it,
But that's awesome. Did when you were at the law forum, did you get ideas for like jokes? But when you were passaging messages,
that's a good question. I don't know that I got any material from there. Just that kind of whole world. Because you're going from law firm to courthouse to is downtown Boston, so you're in this kind of you pretty much. Oh, actually, wait, no, I did get a bit that I don't know which album it's on, but I know it's called The Most Surreal. It's either the most surreal thing I've ever seen or the most surreal experience I've ever seen. But there's a story about, I was working at the law firm, and they had a in-house cafeteria, where they made food, and there was in the meatpacking district, there was in Boston, there was a place that professional knife sharpening place, and everybody would bring their knives to this guy. It's like an industrial thing, and you always coveted certain runs. They would call them runs. You get the courthouse run, or the post office square run, or this run, or the Beacon Hill run. And if you got this certain run, it meant you would get a ticket compensation, a chit thing for a taxi, because you had to go to this area that you couldn't walk to.
Yeah.
So everybody wanted to get the knife sharpening run, and I got it one day. It just fell to me, and so I got, and nobody's checking on you at all, and so I just got a cab, and I went kind of like halfway to this thing, and I said, "Hey, stop here on Tremont Street. Will you stop right here at whatever it was, 462 Tremont?" And I went to my friend who sold weed, and I said, I just told the cab driver to keep the car running, and I'll be in a bit. And I went in, said hi, and my friend and I got high, and we spent like 10 minutes, and we had a sandwich, and we're just shooting the shit, and like, all right, well, I got to go finish this run. And I got back in the taxi, and the taxi driver, knows he's going to be with me for the whole thing. And then, and it's a story. I can't do it here. It's just way too long. But that whole story is from the law firm, working at the law firm, and that's on. I can't remember which one it's on, but it's on one of those. I know it's called The Most Surreal Thing I've Ever Seen, or something like that. I know the word surreal is in it.
Now, I had a question about like your films, because you have training in stand-up, but also in sketch, and I have a feeling in a lot of your comedy films you do a lot of improvising. Is that something that I'm right about? Because I could tell.
Oh yeah. Oh, for sure.
Yeah. So like,
I mean, often I assume that's part of the reason people are hiring me. You know, that you get on set and 9 out of 10 times people are like. And if you think of anything, just go with it. You don't have to stick with this. I mean, let's get this, but let's, they kind of encourage you to do that, which is fine by me.
Now, is it easier to do that, like in films that you work with other stand-ups? Like for Scary Movie, you worked with the Wayans brothers, and for Small Soldiers, you work with Jay. Like, is it easier to improvise, or is it more difficult? Because
I think so. I think it's easier if you can work with somebody who, there's give and take. I remember doing one movie. I won't mention the movie or who the actor was, but he was a straight actor. Didn't really do a lot of comedy. And fairly well known. And we were riffing, and my character was kind of a dick.
Right.
And we were doing the scene, and it's him and this other guy, and the other actor, kind of straight men in this film. The other actor was good at it. Was just kind of going, taking it and going back and forth, and the other guy just could not hang and was getting upset as a person, as an actor, not in character. He was getting upset, and I don't think really any of those takes are usable. There was a lot of fun stuff, but he just kept getting annoyed and breaking character and stuff. And but occasionally I did Arrested Development with James Lipton, who I had made fun of before, both in sketch and stand up. And we had a very awkward kind of meeting, but he was very cool. But he was great. I mean, I was riffing all over the place, and he was one of the better people I've ever worked with in that sense, where he was just taking stuff, and he was very quick, and same with Tommy Toon, who I never would have expected that to be. Yeah. He was this guy who's like, he was awesome, by the way. I mean, he's like 80 something, and he was just sharp, just taking it, just going with it. And, and those guys are certainly not comedy or sketch guys, so you never know.
Yeah. You're also one of those comedians who's actually a really good dramatic actor. You did Spotless Mind and Post, and those were really good parts. And so, like, how is that as a skill level to know you could also do drama as a comedian? Like, because a lot of guys say comedians can't act,
Well, that's always bothered me. I don't know who. I think, quite often comics turn out to be great dramatic actors. I mean, look at Bob Odenkirk. Look at, there's a lot. Look at Robin Williams. Look at Zach Galifianakis. I mean, there are people that just because you're a comedian doesn't mean you're not a human being with emotions, and you already have a set of skills that you've been working on, and it's just a matter of being real and not succumbing to trying to be funny and get a laugh.
Yeah. There's
a lot of people. Sarah Silverman was in a dramatic movie. Jim Gaffigan is just about to be in one. There's a lot that you can, that shouldn't be surprising. That's always annoyed me.
Yeah, but that question comes like, you hear that from everyone, you know what I mean? They say, oh, stand-ups can't act, and I agree with you. I think stand-ups can act.
Yeah.
So, and
I'm not sure who. I haven't. Yeah, but go ahead.
Oh no. And then my next question is, you directed hits. Is there any chance you're going to direct another movie?
Yeah, I'd love to. I mean, if I can think of something, I'd like to direct what I've written. I'm certainly not opposed to directing somebody else's stuff, but preferably I just haven't thought of the next great idea that I can write and direct. And I had a great time. I loved it. I directed a show in Britain called Bliss that I co-wrote, and I directed, and I wasn't in it as well, and that was so much fun. I really enjoyed that. So I'm looking forward to whatever my next idea is.
Yeah. And you also perform outside of the States too, like in London. Do you have a home out there that you stay like during the off season just to hang out?
No, I've been doing so much work there over the years, but there's a section of town that I try to go to, and I've kind of lived in a bunch of different places, at least on the north side of the river. I've been in Notting Hill and Queensgate and Kensington and a bunch of these different areas, and then really kind of settled in this one where I would keep going back to that I really enjoyed, and I just get an efficiency flat, a place that like they come and clean it once a week. And it's one of those type of things. It's like a hotel, but not a hotel. It's kind of like an apartment, but sort of halfway between a hotel and apartment. But there's no, front desk or dining thing or anything like that. But, and they're tiny. I mean, in London real estate there is fucking nuts and really expensive and especially because the pound was weak the dollar was weak compared to the pound, and I couldn't really afford much more than a much different place than the kind of sprawling things you get out in LA. But I wouldn't trade it for the world. I mean, I really love London. I miss it sometimes, and I've got a lot of friends there, and there's a lot about it that I enjoy.
What's the different types of humors out there compared to the United States? Because I've never been to London, and whenever I travel, I want to do stand up.
It's not London per se. I would say there's like there's the stereotype of the British sensibility, which is a little more reserved. And it depends on where you go. I've seen plenty of Brits who weren't reserved at all, and especially if they get a couple pints in them. And the one, I don't think comedy is that much different anymore, in part because there's, the internet allows you to just see, and cable TV allows you to see all kinds of comedy, and they get a lot of American comedy, and we get a lot of British comedy, and I think the best example of the difference, and again, there aren't that many differences, but if you look at the British Office, the Ricky Gervais Office, compared with the American Office, both very funny, but both quite different. And in the British Office, it's very uncomfortable, and they are not, they don't shy away from awkward pauses, and in the American Office, it's boom, 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 boom. It's cut. It's much more cutty, and they kind of go to the, they'll very quickly, and they go to the well with the cutting to the person who makes a face to camera, like, you believe in this, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And they just don't do that, nearly as much in the British Office. It's just different. It feels more real, I guess, less arch.
Well, David,
and that's the difference.
David, we only have 3 more minutes, and I want to respect your time, but I did just have 2 more questions, if I can, real fast.
Yeah, go ahead.
The Arrested development, when you were painted blue, how long did that take to apply, and how long did it take to take off?
Oh man, it took a long time to apply, and it took longer to take off. Really, I would have to take 3 showers on it, but still wake up, and there'd still be like blue paint on my pillowcase and stuff. But I would take I would kind of get wiped down. After we shot, I go to the makeup trailer, and they have this like, jelly, lotion type stuff, and that kind of gets most of it off. And they, they're taking towels, and they're doing all this stuff, and they're, scraping it off, wiping it off. And then I would get in a little, golf cart, and they would take me to a shower where all the the crews would shower. This is when we were at the Fox Spot.
Yeah.
And I'd go and they'd give me this kind of like industrial shit to use, and I would shower and I'd put all the stuff on, and then I'd get my clothes. And this is after shooting for 12 hours, so I just was exhausted when we'd go home, and then I'd go home and I'd either have to take another shower when I got home, just because you could see there's still blue stuff, or if I didn't, I knew, all right, I'll just shower in the morning. I'll get up, if you have to get up at 6 a.m., it's like, I'll get up at 5:40 and take a shower, and because they would send you home with these like creams and things to kind of get it out from under your fingernails and cuticles and ears and corner of your eyes, and it was not fun. It was not pleasant in any way. And then the other shitty aspect about it is you gotta sit there and you can't touch yourself, because anytime you do, it just smears, and they have to redo it. So your fingers can't touch your other fingers. You can't rest your hand on anything. It was a bummer.
Yeah, it's kind of like having pink eye. They say not to rub your eye. You know what I mean? So like you always want to rub it. And then my last question is there any chance that you're gonna appear in season 3 of Goliath?
Yes. There might be a cameo in the future.
Awesome, because I love that show, and I love you very much, and thank you for doing the interview, David. I really appreciate it.
Oh, my pleasure, man. Good to talk to you. Thank you.
All right, buddy. Take care.
All right, you too. Bye.
All right, guys, that was David Cross. That was awesome. It would have been way better if Alan was here, because Alan would have laughed at half my jokes, but it was a great interview. I love David. You could also follow David at David Cross on Twitter and Instagram. His feed name is David Cross Official. And remember, his new stand-up special, Oh Come On, comes out on Comedy Dynamics Network on May 10th. We'll be promoting that like crazy. And go see David when he's at a city near you. He's a great stand-up. He's funny, and he really makes me laugh. And it was awesome talking to him for a half hour on this interview. And a couple things before we go. If you like the show, please subscribe, rate, and review, and follow us on social media at Reza, R-E-Z-A, Riffs, R-I-F-T-S. And I know what you're thinking. I just realized this. It's not rifting because I spelt it like a river flow. I just figured that out, and I've been doing the show for 4 years. So I got it. I get the emails. I got it. I figured it out too. So I get it. Again, follow David Cross on social media, and check out his new special, Oh Come On, May 10th on Comedy Dynamics. We wish Alan Lee good health for his cold, and other than that, we'll see you next time, guys. Have a good night.
You're listening to Reza Riffs with Keith Reza and Alan Lee, right here on LA Talk Radio.